first, the agenda, as always, we'll do announcements, introduction to SMART goals, and financial wellness with a little brief exercise as well. And then we'll have a break, and then we'll do youth choice workshops, credit, the good and the bad kind, investment and retirement planning. So start to kind of think about what you might want to learn about at that point. Then we'll break for lunch. We're having chelas. It's going to be awesome. Can everyone hear me, by the way? Wonderful. And then we're going to do a Google Sheets workshop and then a reflection as always. Okay. So announcements, very brief this week. So we've got Midsummer Palooza. Everyone should have RSVP'd for themselves and their friends and family. If you want to come but didn't RSVP, just let us know. We just want to make sure we have enough food for everyone. We're going to have satchel barbecue. We're going to have games. We're going to have competitions. It's going to be a lot of fun. We really want to see all of you there. And then we have July check-in. So right now we're checking in with your employers, and we're also hoping we're having check-ins with you all in 2 weeks. So the 18th through the 22nd, we'll have check-ins with your success coach. So if you are having any trouble scheduling that, let us know because those are a mandatory part of the program. Allison.
What if they're going to be out of town?
If you're going to be out of town, communicate with your success coach or career advisor. We'll make sure that we see you. If it's not in that exact week, it'll be very close to it. Does that make sense to everyone? Awesome. Cool beans. All right, and then next Friday, we'll have PD. It'll be here. PD will always be here from now on. Any questions about any of that? Gorgeous. That's what we like. All right. So what is financial wellness? Ben, could I see your facilitator notes? Thank you. Oh, thank you. Sorry, folks. I'm filling in for Olivia, so we're just doing our best. All right, so financial wellness is defined as possessing the skills and knowledge on financial matters to confidently take effective action that best fulfills an individual's personal, family, and global community goals. That's a little bit of a mouthful. So we're gonna bust this down a little bit and talk about what personal financial wellness means to you all. And we're gonna go through SMART goals and budgeting tips to kind of flesh this out a bit for yourselves, not just a blanket definition. So I didn't need your notes, apparently it was written here. Now you can all see it written. Beautiful.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, thank you. All right. So we're all, not just in this room, but everyone, you start from financial wellness from a different place. Sometimes people have different resources. Sometimes you have a job, sometimes you have multiple jobs. So this is gonna look different for everyone. So as part of what we're doing today, we'll do exercises as well as we'll learn about Excel budgets, things like that, so you can really scope this onto your own particular circumstances. All right, so SMART goals. By show of hands, who's heard of SMART goals? All right, this is awesome. Thank you, Ben. Very nice, I love this, okay. So SMART goals, very broadly, for those of you who have not heard of it, is a way to take a goal as from something abstract and kind of just generic to make it very specific, as the S would point to, and something that we can actually attain. So it's just an acronym. So we're specific, something that is clear, defined, not ambiguous, measurable. This one is a little bit more tricky. It doesn't matter how you measure it, but there has to be some way to tell, am I making progress or have I met this goal? Attainable, you have to make sure it's going to be possible. I can do a lot, but I will not be in the NBA. So something attainable. Relevant, it has to be something which is similar to attainable, but something that's relevant within reach and has purpose for your life. And that's something only you can define, but it's just something to be mindful of. And then timely. So some goals you want to make in the next month. Some goals are 5 years down the road. It's all right as long as you have a time component to that goal. All right, any questions about these SMART goals? Perfect. So the idea here is to have one goal and then define it within these parameters. All right. So when making financial wellness goals, again, we're coming back to that idea that everyone has different circumstances. Everyone has different ideas of what they want financial wellness to look like for them. So first you have to kind of look inward and think, okay, what does financial wellness mean to me? Does that mean that I get to buy myself a Starbucks every week as a treat and I have the money to budget for that? Or does that mean I'm saving a certain amount of money? How are you defining that wellness, and how are you actually acting out that wellness? And then as a way to practice that, we're going to use SMART goals to plan. So we don't have a worksheet, but chat with your tables. Looks like everyone is at a table with someone. Perfect. So go ahead and talk with your tables, and I'll kind of float around, and maybe if some of the other program staff want to float around and answer questions. So start to think of a financial goal that you can use the SMART goal acronym to kind of define. And I'll go back to that acronym. All right. I know this is kind of a lot, but does anyone have any questions? Gorgeous. All right, start to chat with your table. Oh, Allison?
No, I can ask you.
Oh, perfect, yeah. And if you have a specific question that you want to ask, we'll float around. But, all right, so start to think of a financial goal that you would like to have, or something that could be a financial goal, and chat with your table, and think of ways to make it specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely for you. So go ahead and talk amongst yourselves. Thank you. Give me that, it's mine. Gorgeous. Love that. All right. Wrap up your conversations and then we'll come back together. Feeling very jazzy today. I don't know. It's Friday. We're having chilas, which is very excited. There's lots to be sunny about right now. All right. All right, everyone, let's come back together. Thank you. Hi, Dallas. Welcome. So, who would be comfortable sharing a SMART goal or even any part of the conversation that they had with their groups? There we go.
Hi, I'm Maya. My SMART goal is to make my first payment on my car in August.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, so I hear, here, if we can, is it okay to kind of go through that a little bit? Yeah, perfect. So I hear timely, what other aspect of SMART goals do you feel like is really important for this goal?
Definitely that it's measurable, I guess. And measuring that would be, I guess, checking my personal finances to see if I can cover that, which I can, but yeah.
Awesome. And it's definitely something you would know.
Yeah.
In August, like if you say it now. So perfect. Thank you. And Allison, did you want to go next or were you just passing the mic?
I don't know.
Yeah, would you like to share?
I know a lot of people have probably heard this, but I was actually planning to open my own bakery. I don't know how well that's gonna work, so I have to like figure it out all. But just go ahead.
So let's think of what's one goal you could have to start you on that path.
Get a lot of support, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. So how would we measure support?
All the program stuff here at SummerWorks, maybe, but I guess that's also not timely or relevant. Yeah.
That's only one part.
Yeah.
So the secret here is that I feel like an inspirational speaker with this microphone. This is too much power. But, so any goal can be a SMART goal. You just have to give it those qualities. So gaining support for an idea is a great goal to have, especially a goal like starting a business. So timely, you could set, okay, I could have this many people giving me support based on signatures or being on an email list by August. We want to steal Maya's timeline.
Yeah.
So any goal can be a SMART goal. Who has another goal and we'll make it SMART? Or tell us how they've already made it SMART. I think we have a hand over here.
I guess, hi, I'm Kay. I guess my goal is I've been saving up to go to Jersey to look at design schools there. So I guess it's, specific in that and also measurable in the sense that, I know how much I'm going to need to get by the time I graduate, would be timely. There we go. That's 3 out of the 5.
That's perfect. And it sounds like it's something that's really attainable as well. Perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm going to pick on this table because I'm already here. Who has a SMART goal? Krista.
Hi, I'm Krista. So my SMART goal is I'm trying to pay off some debt I have. And I already kind of started on, I guess it would be my measurable goal, is I made like a Google spreadsheet of like all my payments I have to make and like the amount. And then like once I pay off that certain amount, I can like check it off. So.
Awesome. So it's a really set way to measure how far you're coming with the progress.
Yeah. And I don't know. I haven't really made my timely goal yet, but I guess I'd say August as well. I'll get on the bandwagon.
Yes, we love August. It's, Leo season, summertime, great reasons. All right. And I'm just over here by this table. Who here has a SMART goal or a goal that maybe they'd like to talk through in the SMART framework? All right, Saran. Thank you so much.
So my SMART goal is to save at least $300, mostly like based out of my paychecks from my internship. So I think I can do this by the end of my internship period, and I think like the $300 is my way of measuring it, and I feel like it's obtainable. Like I feel like it's something I can do. So yeah.
I love how you said at least 300, because it could be more, but setting at least a minimum there. Wonderful. Thank you, all of you, for sharing, especially for those that I kind of just thrust the sharing upon you. All right. So, Ben, could I have your nose back, pretty please? I don't know why I'm holding this mic. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, some other aspects to think about in the framework of SMART goals. So some goals you'll do all by yourself, but for example, Allison's goal, she needs support, right? So when you have a goal, think who might be involved, who could help me, who would support me, or who is necessary to make this goal happen. And then also, what do you want to accomplish? Sure, you want to accomplish the goal, but for example, Kay's goal, they really want to go to Jersey, right? Jersey? To look at design schools. So what are you achieving with this goal? Because, yeah, they're saving money, but for what? And that's also a great motivator for a goal. And where? Financial, this is a little different. So where's the goal going to be achieved? One good example, Krista. Where she's tracking this goal is on Google Sheets, or where in other aspects of the slide this goal might show up. So where's a little ambiguous, but it can show up. When that falls into the timeline, I won't harp on that too much. And then why? So this is a really big question and definitely a self-reflective time. So for Allison, maybe she really loves to bake, which she does love to bake. So that's why she wants to start a business. So on, maybe there's something about saving $300 there's a specific thing she wants to buy, or potentially just meeting that financial stability would mean something to her. So again, these are just ways to be self-reflective and things to think about when you're setting a SMART goal, to just keep yourself motivated, on track, and make sure that you're supported and prepared to meet that goal. Any questions or final thoughts before we move on to our speaker? Wonderful, you guys are y'all are SMART goal experts here. All right, so Jordan, we are not doing, are we doing youth choice, or is it just Mark presenting? Okay, so this says youth choice, just kidding. We're going to have Mark present from UMCU. So Mark, if you want to come up, and then Dave, if you will switch those slides. I think these are our slides. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And then you'll just click through here.
Got it. Okay, let me do a quick test of this to make sure we are going this way and going this way. Good stuff. So, okay, good to go. So, good morning. Good morning. I'm gonna go ahead and stay back here for you guys. It's just way easier for me to present without this. So I'm gonna just kind of stay back here a little bit on the podium. But it is good to meet all of you guys. Before we officially start on our workshop, you'll notice back by the tables I've got two sets of handouts for you. Could you please grab a handout and a folder, and please take a sticky book and a pen if you'd like. They're right back there, okay? So go ahead. Yep. No. Oh. It's all good. Are you kidding? I've done like, I've done presentations in hallways and so far in basements where, no one's been down there for 10 years. This, I feel like I'm in Carnegie Hall. I mean, my goodness. So trust me, this is, yeah. Yeah. And I should, in case you all wanted just a copy, I should have enough. I think I made 70. Okay, for the group. Okay. Yep. How are you this summer? Tell me what you're doing. Oh, nice. Okay. Are you outside, inside? Okay. Okay. Well, good for you. You are jamming ahead. Tell me what grade you'll be in this year. Okay. You're moving through, right? Okay. Well, good. I'm glad to see things are going good. It looks like just about everybody has got a handout. I'm kind of looking around the room here. It looks like we've all found our way back to our seats. So, all right. Before I get into our session today, it's going to be 45, 50 minutes. As you can tell from the handout, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for y'all to speak at your groups, share a little bit with, in terms of the folks you're working with and stuff. I'm not going to stand up here and lecture for an hour. I want you to do a little bit of work too. But as you can see from this intro slide here, my name is Mark Munzenberger. I serve as the Financial Education or Financial Wellness Manager at UMCU, which is the University of Michigan Credit Union. And a big part of my job is doing workshops and programs and sessions for high school students, college students. I do a lot for adults and senior citizens. Last year, I think I did about 180 programs, in addition to a lot of financial counseling, which is sort of one-on-one. And I always like to encourage you guys, what we'll talk about today, and we won't solve everything in an hour, but there's really a difference between sort of understanding what's a credit score and how do I do a budget and the actual execution. And that sometimes is challenging. We're humans. I had a member of our credit union. It was right before July 4th. I think it was the Tuesday or Wednesday prior. And I had never met the member before. And she reached out and she's like, listen, I'm 48 years old. I'm single. I know I'm having some financial problems. Would you mind meeting with me? Of course. She comes into my office, we start talking a little bit and, income and expenses and stuff like that. And I said, sometimes it's helpful for me if I actually pull a copy of your credit report so I can take a look at some of, she's like, I got a lot of debt. I'm struggling with it. So let me pull a copy of your credit report. Let's take a look so I can look at the numbers here. So we pulled it up and we took a look and we're kind of going through it. She's got 21 open credit cards. 21 are open. 18 of them had a balance. We sort of tallied it up. It's about $80,000. Her annual salary is a little over 40 right now. And that's where we're going to work on it. We're going to take it step by step. And we're sort of talking about, she's just like, I know this is out of control. I know it's still, I didn't execute well and stuff like that. And I said, it happens. It happens. There's different reasons and stuff like that. We can understand, but then we want to execute. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just plant a few seeds today, sort of create that good money mindset, that positive money mindset in terms of how we handle things. Because when you get a little bit older, like me and stuff like that, it's more challenging, and you got more financial decisions and responsibilities. So we'll talk a little bit today about, some things. When is the time to start establishing good financial habits? Now. Yeah, it's not 25 years from now. It's now. It's probably going to take me and this member, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 years to try to get her back on level foot. Manage this debt, get her budget balanced and stuff like that. That's difficult. That's difficult when you're almost 50 years old. So let's go ahead. Everyone's got their hand out here. I want to start out with a little bit of a fun discussion here. And we all are a little bit different in this room, all of us. And if I were to ask you, well, what's your money personality? How do you make decisions? That type of thing when it comes to your money. So the first thing I would like you to do is I would like you to look at page 1, and I've got 7 different boxes there, right? And they're all a little bit different. I want you to go ahead and star. I want you to star 2 of the definitions that you feel most often fit you, and then I want you to go ahead and share a little bit with your neighbors, okay? So go ahead, take 2 minutes and do that. What 2 of those personalities seem to describe you fairly accurately? And then go ahead, share it with your neighbors. On your mark, get set, go. All right, so 60-second warning. This is not a real long activity. You're just sort of identifying a few sort of common characteristics, and then I'm going to give you a few examples here. So take another 60 seconds, and then I'll bring you back up here. All right. Well, thank you for doing that. Hopefully you got a chance to maybe identify a few of the things that, have sort of resonated with you a little bit in terms of personality. Let me give you a few just fun examples. And what we'll do here, I'm not going to call anybody out individually, but when I pose the question on the board here, just hold up a 1 for that's me, a 2 for that's sometimes me, or 3, that's never me. So let's kind of see, we'll just have a little bit of fun here. So the first one reads, I always know exactly how much money I have at any time, including my monthly income and how much I am spending throughout the month. 1, 2, or 3. Let me look. Ooh, Okay, I'm getting a few ones and twos. I'm kind of peeking around for the threes because that's always fun. Okay, I got a few folks that are like, yeah, that's why I'm here. Okay, yep, good stuff. So I will tell you guys, this one right here is a struggle for adults. Oh my gosh, is it a struggle. So many times I'm just asking basic questions like, do you have a sense how much the family is spending on groceries? How about gas for the cars? Great question. Do you know what your car insurance payment is? I really don't. I'm like, woo, okay, well, we got to take a step backward and figure it out. Too many people. So, second one, I like being current with my clothes, shoes, personal appearance, technology, cars, and I don't like feeling out of date. Does that describe you? Yeah, okay, couple ones and twos. Yeah, and don't worry, if you're a that's me, that is okay. That is okay. It's your money. You decide where it goes. So, yep. So we're getting, kind of a good mix. Kind of a good mix on that one. Last one. If I received some unexpected money, a tax refund, a gift, a bonus from work, maybe even an inheritance, let's say for purposes $500. My first inclination would be to live life and spend it. Does that describe you? Let's take a look. So, okay, gosh, I'm getting a whole bunch of twos and a few threes though. Who would save this money? Who would absolutely walk with me to the bank and say, in my savings account? Okay, fair enough. I think the answer's sort of in the middle, right? It's all situational, but that's okay. And the reason I'm bringing stuff like this up is because I could spend a whole day today, you guys, talking about the black and white, the nuts and bolts of personal finance, but there's a lot of emotions that are involved with finance. So I'm just encouraging you to be aware, be self-aware of your money personality and how you naturally sort of react when it comes to finances. What does this stand for? Humans have a fear of missing out, and that really plays in terms of their finances. One of probably the best example I could give you, and you'll be in this same boat, 5, 10, 15 years from now, is when you want to buy a house. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers that want to buy their first house. Does anyone know what's been happening over the past 6 months with interest rates? Anyone know? What's happening with interest rates? They have been going up. 6, 7 months ago, the interest rate on a mortgage was about 3%. Now it's doubled. It's about 6%. People are panicking. They're like, I do not want to miss out, and they're almost to the point where they're going to make a bad decision. They're going to buy a house that they don't really like. They're going to that type of thing. And I'm like, hold on, just don't do anything that in 3 or 4 years we're going to regret, because this plays a big role. We have a fear of missing out. Even in our lives, when friends, family ask us to do something, what's our first reaction? Of course we want to do it. Does it fit your budget? I don't know. That's only you can answer that. So absolutely keep this in mind as you think about your personality and your money personality. What I want you to do again is talk at your tables. I may ask for a volunteer a little bit to help me, but now I'm going to switch the roles. This young lady, Mia, she's a good friend of yours. She's 23, a little bit older, okay? She's graduate. She's working full-time. You can see her salary, but she's never really gotten any help with her finances. Didn't take a financial course, didn't get a lot of guidance at home, and she just sort of asked you at the coffee shop or over dinner, hey, I'm working now. Do you have any financial advice for me? And you're like, wow, no one's ever asked me that, but now it's your turn to think a little bit about your past and stuff. And I want you to share with your teammates at your group, take a couple minutes, what suggestions or advice would you give Mia? On your mark, get set, go. And this does not have to be terribly specific. You don't have to tell her what stock to buy or what credit card to choose. We're talking just high level, that type, high level. And we'll take another minute and then I'll bring you back up here. All right. Well, thank you for sharing some of your thoughts. What I'll do is share what I would tell her if she asked. And I would say the first thing we need to do, Mia, is understand that financial success happens with habits. Way too often, people get into sort of a financial strategy where it's too much, it's event-based, it's not habit-based. Here's an example. What happens to a lot of people after they file their taxes? What do they expect to get back in the mail? A tax what? A tax refund. A lot of people here in the country get that. Sometimes what I see is that's the only time throughout the calendar year that anybody puts any money into savings. For them, savings is an event. It's not a habit. And I say, in order to really create some success here and some progress, savings needs to be a habit. We all know what a habit is, right? Something that happens consistently, regularly, throughout the year. So the first thing I would tell her is we need good habits. This is a good blueprint right here. I would suggest to Mia that when we're talking about spending, simple equation. Always spend less than you make. Always spend less than you make. I'd also encourage you, if you have any bills, which I know you do, Mia, you've got student loans, you've got a rent payment, you've got credit cards, those come first. Always. Never be late on a bill. It will completely trash your credit score. Never be late on a bill. Then I would talk to her about saving, and I'm going to say, Mia, you're young. The time to start saving is now. Let's make sure we have a safety net or an emergency fund, and let's also start saving for other things, like retirement and vacations and stuff like that. Then I would say, Mia, it's okay to borrow. Don't worry, for a car or something like that, but never borrow more money than you can safely afford to repay. Remember that story I just mentioned a few minutes ago? That she just simply got in over her head, and now she's got way too much debt to repay. So I would say be a responsible borrower. And the last thing I would say is, Mia, what I want you to do is sort of break out of the day-to-day sort of strategy and plan ahead. What do you want to do in a year? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to buy a house? Let's start planning today. Too many people don't plan ahead. It's just, I'm getting through the day, I'm getting through the week. We really want to do well with our money. We have to intentionally think ahead a little bit. We have to. That's what I would tell her in terms of just creating good habits. So if you look at your handout, you guys, I think it's page 2. Could you take a look? And if you want to, please use your pen. I want you to write down a habit or two individually. You do not have to share this with me. Individually, what is a habit that you will commit to doing? Okay, a financial habit. Go ahead and jot that down. 1 or 2 or 3. And I think I just did say that I'm not gonna ask you to read these aloud, but it's always fun to hear from maybe 1 or 2 courageous people that would want to share. So if I sort of look on this side of the room, is there anyone that would want to share one habit that they feel that they can commit to? And just go ahead and talk out loud for me.
I'm Allison, and I would say spend half my money on accessories.
And say that, Allison, in terms of accessories, say that again.
Like spend half my money on like accessories.
Got it. Okay. Good stuff. Anyone else want to share a habit on this side that they can sort of commit to financially? Remember, a habit is something that you're going to do regularly, consistently, not once a year. Okay. Oh, yes, let's hear it right here. Yes. I'm sorry, didn't see that hand. Hi.
Me?
Share it.
Hi.
Yes.
My first one was to not let my savings account get below a certain amount. Like example, keep it at a level 300 and maintain that even when I'm taking money out, just to have that buffer money.
That is fantastic. Remember that acronym I threw up there? We have a fear of what?
Missing out.
Okay, so if somebody invites you to go to an expensive lunch today and that's going to take your savings balance, what are you going to say?
Are you paying?
That's a good, I like that one, but great example. Absolutely great. Let's get one volunteer from this side just to share what they produced. Something about a habit that you feel good about, maybe right here. Yeah, thank you for volunteering.
I said to spend my Cash App money first before I actually go to my own debit card.
Okay, so it sounds like you've got a checking and savings account set up, but it's still your own money, right? Yeah, and so, but as long as you have a good idea of what bucket is for spending, what bucket is for savings,
Yeah.
that's what we want to do. So, all right, good work, you guys. I'm going to let you keep that as sort of something to refer to a little bit. So let's, in the remaining time together, let's do a little bit of Q&As together. So if you turn the page, you will see 9 different slots there. And this is going to give you an opportunity to sort of, see what you know. Don't worry, everyone's going to get an opportunity to, I've got a prize here at the very end, but this is, if you can get 5 or 6 out of 9, that's a good score. That's a good score. So as I present these different topics, I'll ask a few questions, see how you do, okay? And then we'll fill in the blanks a little bit. So question number 1 reads, based on years of studies and survey responses, and even I've been doing financial counseling for, this year it's 33 years. That's how long I've been doing this. It is estimated that this percentage of households use a spending plan or a monthly budget throughout the year. What's your guess? Go ahead and write it in. What percentage, and we're talking about single households, households with kids and families and so just in general, do you have a budget or spending plan that you guys lean on throughout the month? Guys, the answer is right about a third. And one of, I would say, and it's remarkable to me that in so many other areas of our lives, there are plans, right? When we go to school, this teacher gives us a syllabus. When you go to a university or college, you map out what classes you're going to take. When you take a trip, you say, this is my route. When you build a house, here's the blueprint. But when it comes to our money, I don't know, so how much you making this month? I don't know. How much you spending on this? Great question. We just don't really do this as well as we should. So I'm going to suggest, remember those 4 habits that I just shared with Mia? Spend, save, borrow, plan, create good habits. The first step into doing well is to use some type of spending plan or budget. I'm not suggesting you do it on a notebook. There are a lot of different ways. There's spreadsheets. There are budgeting apps. My phone is back there. A lot of students like to use budgeting apps. You Need a Budget, Pocket Guard. There's a bunch of really good, cheap budgeting apps where they keep all their budget right on their phone. Super easy. But if you don't have a good idea of money in, money out, it's going to be challenging for you to make decisions throughout the month. So it's not anything more complicated than a comparison between your monthly income, net income, because we all have to pay taxes and other type of deductions, and any and all expenses that you've got. As you can see from this picture here, what's my objective? Take a look at this equation. Is it tilted or is it what? That's the key. Okay, if we've got more expenses than we do income, that's an unsustainable equation. I sort of like to use the analogy, if you're in the middle of a lake and all of a sudden water starts coming in, it's not going to sink immediately, right? But if water keeps coming in, where's that boat headed? Bottom of the lake. There's just no other way around. You can do a few things. People borrow money. They do balance transfers. They borrow from friends and family. But eventually, if you're spending more than you make, it's just not going to work. We've got to get a balanced equation here. So my question always is, can you answer these questions? Do you have a good sense of what you've got to work with each month? And then at the beginning of the month, not the end, the beginning, could you tell me roughly what are you going to do with it? I'm going to save this, I'm going to spend this much, I'm going to do that type of thing. That activity of planning ahead. Sometimes we sort of reconcile at the end of the month and did I spend a lot? How did you do at the beginning of the month to forecast? That's really the purpose. So what I'd like you to do in your handout here is flip it over, and I'm going to give you a few minutes. And for those with a phone, it might be helpful to use the calculator. I just want you to look at this spending tracker activity. And here's Caitlin. I believe she's making $550 a month. And this is a sample of her spending last month. I want you to take a look at it. Maybe if I could have a volunteer or two from the table to do the math and then answer those questions. Going to give you about 5 minutes as a group to do this. Okay? Go. And if one person at the table it can get that weekly spend, you can share it with your neighbors. No problem. You can let everybody know what you came up with. talk about it. So in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of bring you back here. That handout is yours to keep. And you're probably, I sort of selfishly, kind of put you in my world a little bit. Because, one of the things I do is I look at a lot of budgets and numbers and try to help people identify, is it a balanced budget? Is it not a balanced budget? That type of thing. Just high level, guys. Thumbs up or thumbs down? How you feeling about Caitlin's approach? Let's take a look. And I don't see a lot going north. I see a little bit here. Now, of course, she had a few expenses like the concert. That might not happen every week. But in general, she's just spending more than she really has available to her. So we really want to look for opportunities to try to manage this a little bit. Do I have any coffee lovers? I share this a lot, and yeah, me too, okay? My hand is way up there. When it comes to our spending and our budgets and stuff like that, oftentimes when it comes to the small stuff, lunch, pizza, coffee, oh, come on, it's $5 a day. I know, but if you're doing it 5 times a week, it will add up. I'm not telling you to don't enjoy a pizza or a coffee. But sometimes in moderation. Even me, after all these years, I treat myself. On Fridays, on my drive to work, I stop for a nice large coffee. It's my treat. Sometimes if I've had a good weekend, I'll treat myself on Monday too, but usually the rest of the week, I'm drinking coffee at home and at the office. It works for me. I try to make sure I don't get into habits of these small things adding up. So if we ever do find ourselves, you guys, in a situation where that budget is not balanced, it's not difficult. 3 ways to cure it: increase income, decrease expenses, or a combination of both. Simple as that. I have a lot of people take a second job, cut some expenses, 6 months later, all of a sudden they're doing great. So there absolutely are ways to get back on good footing. This is the blueprint right here. Number 2, pay yourself first is a financial golden rule. Which of these 4 pillars, save, spend, borrow, or plan, does this most closely apply to? Put your answer in there. What do you think? Pay yourself first. What does that sync up with? And I would say the best answer to this one, there's a little applicability for all of them. That really falls under the save bucket right there. And if you were to ask me, well, Mark, what do you mean by pay yourself first? I sometimes use this example. And guys, this is a tool that I often use with adults and families. When I'm looking at their budget, we all know, okay, that money goes to a lot of different places. The house, the car, groceries, utilities, and all sorts of places. But at the end of the day, we say we have to make sure that we allocate it correctly so we don't overspend in one area, that type of thing. Can you tell me what is in yellow up here, you guys? Yep. So what I turn around and I tell people is, if I look at your monthly budget, I should see some dollars in there. I'm not saying it's always 10%. Sometimes it's 2, 3, 5%, depending. But there should be something in your monthly budget that is set aside for savings. If you have absolutely no money left at the end of the month, no money to save, the budget's too tight. We've got to find room to save. That's what pay yourself first means. So you sort of see here how that fits within all of our other expenses. And it's challenging. It's challenging. We have to consciously make an effort to set aside some money. But using that adage of pay yourself first, at the beginning of the month, I'm going to set it aside for myself. Then I will start spending and that type of thing. Do I have a volunteer? We're going to shift a little bit on debit or credit. Who wants to give this one a try? And I think there's the microphone right there. Yeah, could we let this gentleman come on up here and just grab this mic? Let's hear it. Good luck. We'll cheer you on. Let's see how he does. What is the difference?
The difference between debit and credit is debit is your own money and credit is the bank's money.
Woo, okay, there we go. So how about this? If you use your debit card, what sort of is the definition right here? Buy now, pay now. Yeah, it's your own money. If you guys use your debit card later today, when is that money coming out of your account? Today, immediately. So, of course, what we always want to do, guys, is never use that debit card for more than we've got in our account. We'll incur fees and all those type of things. So we've got to always know that. As opposed to credit card, which is typically a next step. For many of you, it's your next step. It could happen in a couple years. Different, though. A credit card is buy now, pay. It's a loan. Even if it's for a $5 pizza, it's a loan. It's the bank's money. You use the card throughout the month. You get the bill at the end of the month. Very, very different approach. Young adults and students always start with a checking and a savings account as a way to get started. Eventually, by the time they're 19, 20, 21, they'll probably get their first credit card to take that next step. It's a great way to establish a credit history and a good reputation. So, number 3, what is the earliest age at which a person can apply for and obtain a credit card in their own name? Not with mom and dad, in their own name. Answer to this one is the age of 18, okay? Mark is not going to tell you, okay, if you're 18, you better be going, getting your credit. No, it's whatever is the right time for you based on your income situation and those type of things. But I'm here to tell you that you probably should think about getting your first credit card prior to maybe age 23, 24. You're thinking, well, why should I do that? If, for example, at the credit union, if we have somebody that comes in and says, well, I want to borrow money for a car. I want to borrow $20,000 to buy my first car, but they've never had a credit card or experience with credit, I'm going to have a hard time approving it because they have no history. If they can't even handle a $1,000 credit card, I'm nervous about giving them 20 grand for a car. So it's a good way to establish yourself responsibly. We'll do an exercise here so you can see, but it's a really good way to get started. Young adults, 18, 19, 20, 21, that type of thing, after you've done a really good job with your debit account, your checking account, this is probably the next step. And it's a good way to establish that financial reputation. But we always want to be careful. So the next 3 questions, question 4, 5, and 6, have to do with that credit card statement that's in your packet. It's a 2-page credit card statement. Right in there. Yeah, it's a 2-page statement. And the answers to these 3 questions, I'm going to give you about 30 or 40 seconds to look, can be found on that sample statement. So the first question reads, this consumer owes over $6,200. If they stop using the card and choose to make only the minimum payment every month, can you tell me how many years it's going to take to pay off? The answer is right on that statement. Take a look, 30 seconds. And if you find the answer, it is absolutely okay to help your neighbor. This is not a super high competition. If you find it, let folks know where you found it. So question number 4, this consumer says, geez, I'm going to stop using the card. I'm going to soak it in water. I'm going to put it in the freezer. I'm going to cut it up. I'm not going to use it. But I'm just going to make the minimum payment every single month when I get the bill. It will take them 17 years to pay off this balance. And can you guys take a look at how much they'll end up sending in total? Over $12,000 to pay off a balance today that's a little over $6,000. So for every $5 pizza, really costing you $10. That's what happens when you get in over your head with credit cards. Question number 5, what's the interest rate, please, on this credit card? How much does it cost to borrow money on this card if you do not pay it off? What's the interest rate? For purchases. We always want to know, anytime we borrow money, what is the interest rate? Because that is going to tell us how expensive the loan is. The higher the interest rate, the more of our money is going to go towards interest. In this example, the interest rate is 14.99%. It's on page 2, right in the middle. You can circle it. Page 2, right in the middle. Just a little bit of an extra credit. If you decided to use this credit card at an ATM or a bank for a cash advance, does anyone see the interest rate? I think it's 25 point something %, and that starts the minute you take the money out. Average interest rate for student credit cards, 19 or 20% right now, you guys, here in the United States. So we have to be very, very careful. I always encourage students, if you use a credit card, do the very best you can to pay it in full each month. Only use it for a few expenses so you can pay the bill in full. This person right here is carrying a balance, paying lots of interest. If you don't pay off your balance, question 6, in full you'll be charged interest. Can you tell me how much interest that this consumer paid last month? How much interest, the dollar amount, did this consumer pay last month? We've already agreed. 14.99%, carrying a balance. Take a look. If you look on page 1, up in the top right-hand corner, last month, this consumer made a payment of how much? $300. Does everyone see that in the top right-hand corner? They did not use the card. But if you go down just a few lines, how much did the bank add back in? $75.45. So it's almost like running on a treadmill, right? You make a big payment and your balance only goes down by this much. That's what we need to be careful with. That's what we need to be careful with. Good stuff. So it's beyond just lending, right? I kind of indicated to you guys it's important to establish credit as a young person. And usually when I ask that question, everybody says, well, the reason I need good credit is because eventually in my life, I might need a loan for a house, a car, a personal loan, anything like that. And I'm here to tell you that having a good credit score is a huge determinant as to whether or not you'll get approved. Absolutely. Does credit impact anything else, you guys, beyond lending? Stuff like this. Yeah, I want to rent an apartment. I want to rent a house. I can almost guarantee you that the landlord or property manager is going to want to look at your credit report. They want to gauge, I wonder if this person's going to pay their rent on time. That's one of the factors that they use. Another one is employment applications. Does not mean you have to have A+ credit to get a job, but there are times when a student, like a college student, has done really poorly with managing credit and those type of things, and now they're in the job market, and the employer wants an explanation. What's going on here? Why do we have 2 or 3 credit cards that haven't had a payment in a year? Why are you not managing your dollars? Be prepared to explain it. Yes? Nope, you would absolutely have to give the potential employer permission to pull that credit report. It's absolutely confidential. Like, for example, just because I work at a credit union, I don't have the right to look at your credit report or score. Absolutely not. I have to get your written or verbal permission. That being said, though, for purposes of this example, there are some employers, especially employers in the financial, military, government, nonprofits, that require at least a baseline decent, credit report. They have to have your permission, but if you don't give them permission, they may not be able to continue with the application. Well, it's, all I would say, I'm not an HR professional, human resources and stuff, but anytime you apply for a job, that employer, they don't really know you that well. And they're trying to get as much information beyond what's on your resume to determine if you're going to be a good fit. They may do an assessment. They may do a background check. They may do, all sorts of things, right? Because they're just trying to get a little bit better understanding and kind of gauge you as a fit in their organization. You don't have to have A+ credit to get a job, but we should understand as young adults that there are companies that use this as one criteria whether to give you a job offer. Okay? Great question, though. So we have a system in the United States. We have a system. I remember that story I told you a few minutes ago when I pulled that member's credit report. I think it was 87 pages. It was this thick. I did not have time to go through every single page. But another tool that generates, I got her credit score instantly. It sort of gives me an idea of what the score is, high, bad, medium, high. What's the scoring system that we use here? This one might be a little tricky. Once you establish a credit history, whether that's through a car loan, a credit card, you're going to have a credit score. What's the range? So the answer to this one, and it's sort of random, right? We would think it's like 0 to 100 or 0 to 1,000 or something like that. It's 300 to 850. This system's been around for about 60 years now. It's very embedded within everything we do here in the United States. And for some perspective, I'm quite sure that most of you guys have seen a scale like this, right? At your respective schools, and we all sort of agree that the higher on this scale, the better, okay? Opens the doors for additional opportunities. Well, in the financial world, it sort of works the same way. You can see how this slide works. The scores in red, in fact, if I had a application this afternoon, somebody wanted to borrow money for a car, one of the things I'd have to do is pull their credit score. Guys, if they have a 550, I'm going to stop right there. I'm not going to be able to approve that loan because simply based on the credit. It's just, it's a fact. It's kind of how lending works. But you can see here how things kind of move up the scale a little bit, right? So what color do we all want to be in eventually? We want to be green. Green is good, right? Just like when you're driving, when you see a green, yep, go. Same thing here. Green is good. We want to be in that area right there. Let me try to give you an example. So you sort of, because I've said, high credit scores are helpful. Well, I have a feeling that sometime down the road, some of you are going to probably buy your first car. Used, new, I'm not sure. Look at this example right here, Charlie and Snoopy. $20,000 is sort of an average car loan. That might be a little bit more than you need to borrow, but let's just use that for an example. And they've decided to repay over 5 years, 60 months. Well, here's the good news. Both Charlie and Snoopy are going to get approved. That's the good news. But the deals are not the same. With a credit score of 640, that's like a C- kind of score, D+, C-. It's a little on the lower side. I'm going to say, Charlie, here's the good news. I'm able to approve you, but the interest rate that I'm going to offer is almost 13%. And then there's the monthly payment. And by the time Charlie pays the loan off, what's the total repay? How much did he pay in interest? Over $7,000, just in interest, let alone what he borrowed. Anyone want to tell me what interest rate I could give Snoopy with a 720? That's a pretty good score. Anyone have a guess? What's your guess, ma'am? 5%. Anyone going to go higher or lower? 7. Today, I'd probably go 3.5%. Look at the monthly payment. It's almost $100 less, and by the time we do the math, is Snoopy's loan a little less expensive? By like $6,000. What's the only difference? The score. Same car, same loan. The score is driving what the bank charges you. Yes, ma'am? Okay. Yeah, and I understand that. The good news about credit scores is they're not static. They go up and they go down. There are things we can do to improve it. So if you came to me, here's an example. If you came to me and said, Mark, I'm thinking about buying a car, but my credit score is 640. I'm going to say, let's you and I work together for 3 or 4 months. Let's get the score up. Let's do some things. Let's pay some credit card debt down. Let's get the score up so we get a better rate, okay? But from a lending perspective, banks, credit unions, lenders, Charlie is a higher risk to me because when I look at his credit report, he's missed payments in the past. That's why his score's lower. So it's riskier to me. There's a good chance Charlie might not repay the loan. So that I'm just kind of letting you know how lending works. Okay. Any questions on this example? Look how happy Snoopy is with this good rate. I know he's dancing. Yes, ma'am.
What's potentially like the lowest interest rate you can get?
On what type of loan?
On like a car loan for
3.5%. Yeah, I used a pretty standard rate right now. The good news is, remember that range I showed you? You don't need an 800 or an 850. Just be in the green. All I need you to do is be in that green, be in that top area. You'll get my best rates. Yes, sir.
Just out of curiosity, say Snoopy had 850 credit score, how much do you think you would charge APR?
It wouldn't change. Once somebody reaches what I would consider that top tier, it's sort of what I explained, that sort of in the green, 730, 740, 750, there's no difference even if you have an 800. You're in that top tier right here. Most of the time, it's hard to get into the really high scores unless you've had credit for 20 or 30 years. The good news is, for students, it does not take years and years and years. Most college students, 20, 21, 22 years old, if you get your first credit card, you use it well for 6, 9, 12 months, you will have a credit score of between 700 and 720. It does not take decades to get a good credit score. You just have to be careful and use it responsibly. You can have a great credit score by the time you're ready to kind of advance up. Okay? Yes, sir? It's about 650, 660, and it'll change based on how you do, right? You know, that's a great question. I should probably say, guys, when you are ready to establish credit, let's say you get your first credit card, the thing you would not want to do is take it and put it in the drawer and not use it for a year. In order to build a score, you've got to show that you can use it and pay it. So you buy a pizza, put a tank of gas on it, pay it in full. That you can't just put it in the drawer and never use it. But you start in the middle and you can go up or down. Yes, sir. Or, yes, ma'am.
So if I started at 650 and like, let's say I was gonna buy a car.
Yeah.
Like, so they can see that I haven't made any payments on it. So would it like, the interest rate, would that?
Yeah, I would encourage you, before you're gonna, a credit card is $500 limit, $1,000 limit, fairly low. This is a huge amount of money, right? So I would always suggest, before you start thinking about borrowing this much money, you get the credit score. Okay, you work on it for 6 months, 12 months to get yourself ready. That's gonna save you a lot of money in the long run. Because it's without any history or with a medium credit score, it's gonna be more expensive. Okay, so guys, let me go ahead a couple more slides. We'll do a quick wrap and I'll take any individual questions, I promise, when we finish. Okay? So, let's finish with this. So important. I think, remember that pie chart I showed you and it was yellow? I'm like, guys, pay yourself first. Savings. This is sort of the roadmap. Safety net or emergency fund is critical. Eventually, we're going to save for retirement. We have to, okay? As a young adult, I'm going to show you an example here in a minute. What would be living life? What are the fun things that we like to save for? Vacations. Coffee's cool. I'm all about that. Vacations and home improvements. I have a few home improvements I'm working on now. Special things in our life. All those kind of things. We should have a strategy for each. 2 savings questions, 8 and 9. Let's see if you can get these right. All deposits at a bank or a credit union are insured by the federal government to protect yourself in case the institution goes out of business. How much are our individual accounts insured for? So I don't know if you knew this. We're protected. If you put your money in a bank or a credit union, it is safe. How much is it insured for? In case something happens, all of a sudden they close their doors or they merge. The answer here, $250,000. I have a little less than that in my savings account. I don't know about you guys, but I guess it's still nice to know that I'm covered here. Last question, number 9. Look what happened here. In 2020, I made 5% on my $100 balance, which made my new savings balance $105. In 2021, I made another 5%. And now my balance is $110.25. What type of interest is being applied here? This is a term that will make you rich. So the answer to this question, hopefully you'll get this, compound interest. sometimes I use this example. I don't know if you're going to like it. Think about, you guys, if we were on the top of a snowy mountain, okay? And we had a snowball. And we put it on top of the mountain and we started to let it roll down. Well, for the first 100 yards, you know, it's going to roll down. It's going to be getting like this. What happens when that snowball gets 3/4 of the way down the hill? Every single time it turns around, what's happening to the size of that snowball? It is getting gigantic. So 5% on $100, $5. 5% on $500,000 is a whole lot of money. It takes time and patience, but that's what happens when you start early and you use compound interest. Let's look at an example. The importance of starting early. So here's Eric, he's 25, you know, a couple years down the road. He's working, he chooses to contribute $200 a month, starts investing. And his account earns an average return of 7%. Some years, you guys, it's much higher. Some years, it's much lower. But on average, if we look back over the past 70 or 80 years, 7 or 8% is what the market returns. So Eric says, gosh, at age 30, how am I doing? And if we look at the numbers, good news. His account is moving in the right direction. He's made almost $3,000 in interest. So Eric says, this seems to make sense. I'm going to stick with it. So if we fast forward all the way until he's the age of 65, which is 35 years in the future, I do the math. Eric has put in $96,000 of his own money. But when I look at his account balance, it's over $500,000. So for every dollar that Eric put in, it's now worth what? His money has grown by 5 times. Same amount, slow and steady. But remember when Eric started, right? 25? Let's say he's like, no, that's kind of early. I'm going to wait. I'm just going to start when I'm 30. It's only 5 years. Guys, does that make a difference? By waiting 5 years, his account balance would have been $158,000 less, just by waiting 5 years. Now, that's still a lot of money, right? But, oh my gosh, what is one of your best friends? Use it. Use it, use it, use it. This is one of your best friends. The earlier you get started, even if it's slow, $10, $20, $50 a month, whatever you can afford, let it go. Just like the snowball rolling down the hill. Just hands off. All right, so the last thing we're going to do, and I'm going to actually ask you guys to help me with this, my first table here. You're going to take a couple minutes. The very last page is my plan. Very last page is my plan. I want you to take a couple minutes and jot down a few takeaways that you got today, but also put your name on it. We are going to come around in a couple minutes. We're going to detach it, and we're going to choose somebody to win a gift card, okay? But in order to get in the drawing, you got to fill out the My Plan, put your name on top. Couple minutes, go. $25. Okay, everybody, so if you did complete it, and don't worry, you're gonna get these back. Okay, we'll pass these back later today, but I want you to go ahead, raise your hand if it's finished, turn them in here, and I want, in a couple minutes, I want all of them up in front here. So if you do finish, make sure your name is on top. Just the last page, just the last page. There we go, just the last page. And make sure your name is up on top. And don't worry, you will get these back. We'll pass them back like right after lunch. It's probably good for maybe for our, our instructors, our teachers to maybe take a look, see what a few of the things that we got on here, and then so take another minute or two. Raise your hand when you're finished. We'll collect it, and you're going to get it back right after lunch. I promise. All right, so let's go ahead and let's make sure that all the forms are turned in. And don't worry, you'll get these back right after lunch. But just to keep us on schedule, just raise your hand. You're going to get these back. You can take them home, keep working on them. But we're curious to see some of the things you took out. But absolutely, yes. This is going to be yours to keep. We're just going to use it, make sure your name is on it, and then we'll give it back to you because this is a great takeaway from this session to use this My Plan. Dallas, would you mind doing the honors? So we're going to go ahead and have all the forms over to Dallas. And Dallas, if you want to come up here and sort of give them a nice shuffle and pick one out, that would be great. And we'll take a look at, make sure, yeah, and so we can give all of our... Perfect. Well, thank you for doing that activity. That's a good way to sort of summarize again, and we will make sure you get these back so you can reflect a little bit about what you learned and stuff. So yeah, there we go. So Dallas, if you could come up here and sort of tell me of this nice stack you got, and I know there's some nice quality there. Let's go ahead. He's giving him a nice shuffle. Let's see who's synced up with Dallas. And you can.
So do I get a cut of this if I?
Well, that's going to be between you and I'm going to stay out of that. So.
All right, and I'm pulling them upside down too, so I can't see the name.
Fair and square.
Can't see the name. One more. All right, here we go. You know what? I'm going to do that too. I'm going to do that too, just because.
Yeah, heat it up here.
I promise I can't see anything. I can't see. All right, here we go. Pull it from the middle. We're going to go with this one right here. Oops. We've got Muhammad.
Where are we at? Way in, there we go. Okay.
I'll meet you outside.
So Dallas, students get these back so they can put it with their materials? That'd be great after lunch. So thank you guys so much for your engagement and your activities and stuff like that. If you wanted to take a picture of this, if you need resources or you need anything, you can always reach out. Call me or email me. I'm happy to help, okay? Have a great rest of the day, you guys. Okay.
Yeah. Hello. I'm Karen Hurley, and I'm here to talk to you about retirement and budgets. Unlike Mark, who you heard before, I'm not an expert. I've been teaching it for 22 years, but he's actually in the business of doing it. And I was sitting in the back, and I noticed we're going to have some repeat of what he said, because we didn't get a chance to share PowerPoints, but repeating is always reinforcement, so that's a good thing. Let me just check my notes. Oh. Not going to give any quizzes, so that's a bonus for me. And it's always when you lecture after lunch has happened, everyone gets a little sleepy, carbs are starting to hit. So if you feel sleepy, please get up anytime, walk around the table. And if you have any questions, just raise your hand. I don't know if we'll have time for Q&A after, but we'll just do it as we go. Everybody ready? Okay. Anyone saving for retirement right now? Got a couple. All right, great job. I have to get used to what using this. I'm used to being in the back of the classroom with the presentation in front of me. So retirement needs, there's a lot of factors that go into that, but they're also very personalized. For each person, it's going to be different. How much are you going to earn on your investments? Are you going to be super safe with like a 3%, 5%, 10%? All right, thank you. How long will you live? Women, we live 3 years longer than men. So how much can you withdraw from your investments monthly for the year? Are you going to keep your house? Are you going to move? So there's all these variables that is unique to different people. Are you going to still have major expenses? A house payment. Probably when you retire, most people have their houses paid off, but some go and build a giant house because they have the money, they've saved for it. Will you have a car? Will it be paid off? Are you healthy? That's another thing. As if you think about when most people retire, your early 60s, late 50s, if you can swing that, but as you get older, you have more medical costs and you're not as healthy. So, and then if you want to travel. So with regard to retirement is you have to invest. You have to be saving. But the most important thing is that it has to be beating inflation. Or you might as well just take your money and put it under the mattress. If you can't invest it and beat the rate of inflation, then you're not going to be set up for financially when you retire. And I'm going to talk a little bit on inflation. Do you guys know inflation? Anybody got a good example of inflation?
A lot of like salted water and stuff, just like going down because people buy, I don't know.
Soda water?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll talk about inflation, but inflation basically means a general rise in prices. So what we can get today for our dollar, we're not going to be able to get in 5 years, 2 years. So you have to be beating inflation. All right, retirement needs. So experts say that you need 75 to 85% of your pre-retirement income. So the example I have is somebody's makes $100,000. So this means they need $80,000 to live every year that they're going to live past retirement. So if someone's going to live 15 years, so the example is they make $100,000, they need $80,000. If they're going to live 15 years, when they retire, they have to have $800,000 in investments. Okay, does that sound like a lot? $800,000? Okay, inflation, I'm going to show you a slide and you're going to be totally surprised. It's going to be a lot more 45 years from now when you're going to be retiring. All right, so again, what are your expenses going to be? Traveling, healthcare, funeral expense. Do you plan on leaving money to your children? My daughter hopes so. So with regard to, I'm hoping that you're going to have access to see this PowerPoint presentation or the ability to click on it later. I don't want to go into the articles because we don't have a lot of time, but the first article, how much income do you need? This was written in 2013, and it was for a 20-year-old. And you would want to, in 2013, guess how much they were saying you would need in your retirement fund. Or to have an average lifestyle. Throw out a number. 1 million. Okay, so I heard 1 million. You're reading the screen. Okay, so recently so the first article was from 2013. Recently they came out with inflation that if you want to retire, you need almost, we'll call it $10 million in their bank account at the age of 65 to have a lifestyle living on $60,000 in today's money, in today's dollar amount. So if you're going 45 years ahead, what does that mean in today's dollars? So I did a few calculations. So number of years to retire, 45, 7% interest rate. So in order to get to this, in today's dollar, it's about $500,000. So that's not bad. Most people retire with much more right now in their bank account. You know, $1 million, 1.2. So in today's dollars, if you have this, you're set. But 45 years into the future. The second one is I just want to show you that we just bumped it up 3%. If you can get your investments to earn 10%, in today's dollars, that's only $136,000. So that's inflation working and this interest. So Mark talked about compound interest, and I'm going to repeat that. He said that, I kind of forget what he said, but it is just unbelievable what compound interest can do for your savings. But you got to start early. I think he used an example of somebody named Eric. You have to start early. All right, so inflation, it's the rise in general level of prices. So what is your money worth today? Who wants $100 today versus $100 in 2 years? Who wants it today? All of you guys want it today? Tell me why you might want it today. All right, get it today, have it. Do you have a fear of spending it?
No.
No?
No.
So what might you do with the $100 today?
I would probably put it into my savings account.
Okay, savings account, great. Does anybody want it 2 years from now? 2 years from now. I see somebody shaking their head in the back. No. You guys, what you can do with the $100, because of inflation, basically money has something called purchase power. So there's a formula, time value of money. Every time a year passes, a day passes, your money is losing purchase power. So inflation reduces purchasing power. The example is milk. And you guys talk to your guardians about this. What did you pay for your first car? What did you pay for your house? How much was your college education, 20 years ago? And you're going to be hearing, it was so low. So 20 years ago, milk was $1.99. It's $3.19. We all know about gas prices today, right? So 20 years ago, $20 could get you 10 gallons. Today, it's just 4.5 gallons. So that's inflation. Everything is going to cost more when you retire. So investors, you need to be seeking investments that's going to beat inflation. It's a must. Or again, you might as well just put the money in a drawer and shut the drawer and not look at it for 45 years. Okay. All right, here is another example. So I put you retiring at 2067. Who's looking forward to that year here? I'm probably not going to be around, but 2067. Okay, and it puts most of you, I generally like maybe 61 to 65 years old. So today, or in 2021, you could get this Explorer, call it $38,000. With tax, out the door, $38,000. You could buy this. So let's go into the future. By 2067, due to inflation, And if you actually took the $38,000 and hid it under your mattress, you did not invest it, the purchase power of that would only be $10,600. So those of you that are going to be around in 2067, look how expensive cars are going to be. People buy houses for that right now. So in 2067, that's going to what you're going to need to buy a similar car. All right, investing. So why do we do it? So investing is basically the long-term savings to earn extra money. It is taking place while you're going about your normal business. You're working, you're traveling, you're going out with friends, you're biking, you're reading, whatever your hobbies are. You're doing them on a day-to-day basis. If you're investing, your money is growing while you're just, going day-to-day activities. So you have to invest. It's a proven and powerful way to increase your finances over time, and it's essential to get that extra income. If you're not investing and you're not saving, you're not going to be set up for retirement. And a lot of people talk about Social Security. We have Social Security. Any of you guys getting Social Security taken out of your checks right now? You see that? Yes. Some people say we're not going to have Social Security. You will not be able to live just on your Social Security. To be financially set, you have to have savings, and not just in the bank. You have to invest them. All right, so investing increases wealth, helps you to accumulate faster, and I don't know if Mark talked about the interest rate at the credit union, but if you have your money just in your savings account, you are only getting 0.01 interest. And that might be annually, it's probably quarterly or maybe monthly. Not 1%, but 0.01. That's not going to set you up for financial retirement either. You have to be having it in, and I don't know how many of you guys know about stocks and mutual funds. I'm just kind of doing the basic, but you have to have a portfolio of different things that you're investing in. And some of them, if you want to play it really safe, 3%, some people are making 24% on their investments. If you're leaving your money in the bank, you're not going to be set for retirement. All right, compound interest, Mark talked about it. This is a great video. I'm not gonna play the video, but Albert Einstein said it was the eighth wonder of the world. And Mark used the example. He had $100, 5% interest. He has $105 at the end of the year. He starts the next year with $105, he gets $525. And he starts his third year with $110.25, and then the next year he gets $550. So first year was $5. Second year is $525. Third year is $550. And you're thinking a quarter? Big deal. It really matters once you start having it in there. 15 years, 13 years, 20 years. All right, so the other thing is that with stocks and mutual funds, if you buy a stock and then you sell it for higher than what you bought it for, that's called a capital gain. If you buy stocks that give dividends, AT&T is a great stock to have. They offer you dividend. It is free money. Just because you bought their stock, they're giving you money. So you'll get your report and it'll tell you, oh, you got $75 in dividends. And you're like, that's great. So and dividends are for a certain age group. When you get older, a lot of times you're looking for income stocks where it's going to bring income to you. All right, so there's a couple of different stages of investing.
I just have one quick thing.
Yeah.
So just to add, kind of like, when you're looking into, like when you start a job, like a full-time job, a lot of companies will manage your retirement for you. So like, for example, like the University of Michigan, they have an account with Fidelity and also TIAA. And so this isn't all just on you. There's lots of people to help, and that's some of the benefits of having a full-time job, full-time employment, that they can help with that too. So I want to just throw that.
Yes, I'm going to talk about those they call them 403Bs, 401Ks, 459 plans. So I'm going to mention it real quick, but you are seeking out an employer that's going to help you do that. Sometimes it's not just about the employer offering you the highest salary. Oh, I'm going to go with this company. They're paying the most. Maybe their benefits aren't that great. Maybe the other company is paying you a little less, but they're going to match your funds. So it's not always about the big dollars. So the stages of investing, I think most of you guys might be at stage 1 or 2. Some of you raised your hand. You said that you're already saving for retirement. But stage 1 is put and take. You put it in the bank, you take it out. Put it in the bank, you take it out, and you take it out for your expenses. Stage 2 is initial investing, where you're probably doing maybe some conservative, low-risk investing, kind of feeling it out. And however, I'm always of the approach that at that age, you're young. That's the time to really, don't come back and sue me when you lose your money, but we'll talk about that too. But that's the time to be aggressive, because when you do, if the market turns down, which we're in a big turn down right now, is that you have time to make that money up. At my age, I don't want to be super aggressive with my investments because I don't want to lose it all. I don't have time on my side to make that up. 3 is retirement funding, where you're kind of looking at long-range plans. Prior to this, I mean, even in your when you're at the conservative level, at the initial investing, you guys, there is so much research. You have to really educate yourself, but a lot of financial planners will do it a free consultation. You go in, they help plan for you, and then eventually, if you invest with them, they do take a commission, but a lot of those are free. Seek the advice of a relative, a guardian, a teacher, somebody that has experience with investments. Stage 4 is strategic investing, where you're diversifying your funds. So I'm sure everybody in here might have an Apple product in their household somewhere. So diversification is, instead of you have $15,000 to spend, instead of buying Apple, Apple's a great company, great service. I'm going to buy $15,000 worth of Apple. Well, something happens, new competition, and Apple stock goes down, and you're losing money because you've invested all in Apple. You want to diversify. You want a little bit of Ford, GM, Chevy, whoever your car company is. You want some consumer goods like Kimberly-Clark. They make paper products. You can buy supermarket stock. You can have energy stock. You can have biotech stock. You just don't want to have one sector, because if that sector gets hit, like not that you remember this, but years ago here in Michigan, we had to bail out the car companies. Anybody that had car stock, it just plummeted, went from $30 down to $4. And if that was their only investment, then it makes it difficult to get out of that hole. So stage 4 is kind of diversifying. And stage 5, I don't think I'm ever going to get to. Stage 5 is speculative, where you're guessing, hedge fund. And I don't have a lot of experience with that. I don't think I'm going to do that, but it's high risk. But with high risk comes what? High rewards, high returns. So with regard to risk, there's all types of risks. My parents came through the generation of the Depression, and the money that they invested, super low, no risk at all. And they fared very well. And so some people, your risk tolerance is lower than others, but you have youth on your side. You have time to make that up. But with regard to risk, you never want to invest money that you can't afford to lose. So if you have $15,000, you think you're going to make some quick, you're going to double it because you got to go to medical school, whatever it happens to be, and you invest that. There's no 8 ball. There's no way for sure that you're going to know what the stock market's going to do. If you can't afford to lose that $15,000, you shouldn't be investing it. I guess, I mentioned that the stock market's down. Anybody, that has a portfolio in January, if we could foreseen what was going to happen, we would have moved all of our money. but we didn't know. All right, so again, the greater the risk, the greater your returns. All right, so the last thing is, there is, again, a financial advisor. There are plans out there. If you go and look for, let's say, Fidelity, 2067 is the year you're going to retire. They have a mutual fund for you, and it's super aggressive initially. It's called a balanced fund or a retirement fund. And then as you age, it automatically reallocates everything to safer things. By the time you're ready to retire, you're in really low risk funds. So check those out. They're called retirement mutual funds, and you don't have to do anything. They automatically will rebalance themselves as you age. They know, how old you are when you sign up for Fidelity. All right, and just a quick, here in the middle of the triangle are different things that you can buy with regard to your risk. I would hope that you're kind of here at some point, stocks and mutual funds. Low risk, I couldn't even tell you the percent, but if you're doing really low risk initially, you're really missing out on an opportunity to capitalize on that compound interest that I'm going to show you a story here. We talked about diversification. So again, you want to minimize your risks and have your investments. It even could be life insurance. It could be real estate, mutual funds, stocks. You have all kinds of different vehicles that you could be making money so that it's just not one particular investment. And this is an example, a pie chart of somebody who's actually basically getting ready to retire or is retired. Notice that the biggest percent is 40%, and bonds are super safe, very low risk, but also only 3 to 5, maybe 3, 4, 5% return. And you always want to have some cash. Never have absolutely everything invested. Mark talked about an emergency fund. I'm going to talk about that when we get to the budget. And then real estate is probably the house that the person owns. All right, so Kathleen in the back was talking about, possibly, when you get a job, your retirement's going to help you. So what are your options for where you're going to get this money? First is personal. Okay, you have to make it happen. It's the cash you saved. It's your IRAs. There's 2 of them, traditional and Roth. And it could be a life insurance policy. Those are all kind of things that you would do outside of your employer on your own. Second thing is your employer. 401k, everybody's heard of a 401k. So your employer will ask you if you want to sign up. Some employers will manage it for you. You have no control over that money. They decide where that money's being invested, okay? And you can't get it till you're 59 and a half. Okay, once you invest it. Now, if you change jobs, it'll go with you. But a 401k, 403b, your employer sets it up. Some employers will match, and you want to seek those employers out. Up to like sometimes 7%, whatever you put in, they'll match it. That is free money. Even I tell young people, somebody, your employer's going to match you 5%, and you say, I can't afford 5%. That's, $500 out of every, for each month. Well, you guys, it's $500 free money. So attempt to cut back on other costs in order to get the full match from your employer. Social Security, talked about that. Hopefully it's around when you guys retire, but it's going to be inadequate. You can't just use Social Security. And then a pension. If you're lucky enough to get one, a pension, that's me. I'm a retired high school teacher, and the state of Michigan is going to pay me every month until forever how long I live, and I've never given them $1. So a pension now, a lot of companies are moving away from that, but I know the U.S. Postal Office has pensions, the federal government has pensions, state of Michigan has pensions. And you guys, sometimes that's health care. They give you your health care for the rest of your life. So if you're lucky, you could seek out a job with pension. And then last is retired people sometimes will work part-time just to make ends meet, or put off taking some of the money from their investments and just working part-time. All right, budgets. The dreaded B word. If your guardian came up to you and said, I'm going to put you on a budget, what's going to be how are you going to feel about that? A budget. A lot of people are like, no, or even with a potential partner coming up, we got to make a budget. We got to do a budget. No, I don't want to do the budget. It sounds restrictive. It sounds like, no, I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do. However, if you want to take a trip to Italy, okay, and you're like, if I'm on a budget, I'm not going to be able to do that. Yes, you can. If it's important to you, just put it in the budget. Put a line item, Italy trip, and you're putting money into that account every week, every month, whatever happens to be. So the budget doesn't have to be just about day-to-day household things. All right, anybody have a tree like this in their backyard? I need to know your address so I can stop by there on the way home. So there's very few people that have unlimited resources to buy whatever they want. They don't need a budget. Maybe 10% of the population might have that ability. Most of us don't, so we need to plan for it. You need to plan where your money's going. All right, so a couple other articles here. If you're looking to move to an East Coast city, say San Francisco, New York, there's an article here that if you want a middle-class lifestyle on one of the coasts, you need to be making $350,000 a year. I don't know too many people, personally, my own friends, my own siblings, relatives that I know are making $350,000. So now they're making choices to go to those East Coasts. So the budget in living, on a salary that's not $350 is all about choices. What was I going to say? There's an article here that if you're interested, what should you be doing in your 20s, 30s, 40s? So it's very helpful. It kind of, again, if you can find a financial planner, they're going to help you with that. But with regard to the $350,000, I've never made that my entire life, and I'm retired at 55. Okay? You do not have to make a ton of money to live comfortably, to have some fun, to travel and retire at somewhat an early age. I will admit I'm 55. Oh, I'm going to be 56 here. But you don't need to make $500,000-$600,000. All right, so let's talk about Ben and Arthur. And this is very similar to Eric, and it's about compound interest. So he kind of talked about it. But we have Ben, and Arthur are friends. At age 19, which some of you I think in this room are 19, Ben decides to invest $2,000 every year for 8 years. And he picked an investment that averages 12%. So a lot of financial experts are like, yeah, 12% is hard to get. In today's market, it's hard to get. Over your lifetime, if you were to average 12%, sometimes you get a really great year. You're getting 18, 20% return. Another year, you're getting 7, 10%. But on average, over your, when you're saving, if you can get 12%. So Ben stops at 27. Ben stops at 27 because he needs that $200,000 to raise his kids, to buy a house, to save for his kids' college funds, or maybe he had a job change. So sometimes you're investing and you have to pull back. That's okay, as long as you have that you have it started. So let's go on to Arthur. So Ben stops at 27. He's only invested $16,000. We have Arthur. He starts investing when Ben quits. Arthur's been living a great life, and now he's thinking, oh my gosh, I better do something. I'm 27 years old. So Arthur, until he retires, he puts $2,000, matching the same 12% that Ben got. He does it for 39 years. Remember, Ben did it for 8 years. So they decide at the end, let's compare our retirement accounts. Ben, again, invested only $16,000 for 8 years, and Arthur, $78,000 over 39 years. Who do you think has the bigger balance? Who? Ben. Anybody agree with Allison that it's Ben? Because he started early. So Ben actually came out $700,000 ahead of Arthur. You have to start early. You have to build that nest egg. So there's a retirement calculator, but again, starting early is key. He turned $16,000 into $2.3 million. And I know, hopefully you guys can see this in the back, but I want to talk a little bit about the compound interest and how, so you can see Ben here and Arthur. So right about, let's see, I got these years written down. So with Ben, year 27 and 28, he made $4,500. Then go up to his year 38, 39. So right about here, in 1 year, he's making $12,000. If you go a little further down, when he's at 52, 53, he's making $50,000 just on his investments. He hasn't put in any extra money. And at the very end, in just interest, he made $218,000. So you have to start early. This is Dave Ramsey's Ben and Arthur approach to saving early. So planning, budgeting, keeping good records is going to put you on a financial roadmap. And one of these things that I like to use as analogy is someone's building a $300,000 house. It is not me, but there's blueprints. And you have blueprints, you have pages and pages of blueprints. And on the blueprint is every outlet, every door, every window, down to what shrubs they're going to put in. Because you're investing $300,000. You want to plan absolutely everything. So we have a worker. He works 40 years. Let's see. I think it was 40 or 45. I forget my math. And he makes $50,000 a year. So over his life's work time that he worked, $2 million he made. He didn't keep a budget. He has no idea where the $2 million went. Just through his hands. I spent it on something. So if you're going to do a house in such detail, and you have to plan for your financial thing. You want to know where your money's going, where it went. All right, so getting started, talking about, did you guys do SMART goals? I missed that. Yeah. Did SMART goals? Okay. So with regard to writing down your goals, if you write them down, experts say you have a 42% chance of meeting them, but they have to be written down. I can't stress this enough, is that you have to educate yourself. You guys, there are financial podcasts out there. There are books. There are all kinds of things. If you don't have somebody that is going to teach it to you, you're going to have to teach it to yourself. Yeah.
We have a couple of books here that folks can borrow.
All right.
I'll bring them up to this front table. So we have a couple of books for you guys.
All right. And with goals, they have to be flexible. A lot of people will separate their goals, short term, something you want to meet between 1 and 3 years. You have midterm goals, which are 3 to 7 years, could be as much as 10. And then you have long-term goals, which are things that you want to attain 10 years from now. So here was an example of a SMART goal. I don't know if you did them because I missed it, but okay, you did. So for 12 months, I will contribute $100 of my monthly paycheck to begin my emergency fund, totaling $1,200. So it's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, realistic, and then there's a time attached to it. So if you practice them, they should look something similar to this. All right, so what do you need to get started? And we're gonna do an Excel budget after this, but you have to know your income and you have to know your expenses. So your gross income is before Uncle Sam takes anything out of your paycheck, Gross income is before taxes and other kind of optional deductions, like 401k if you're sending that, through your employer. And then your net income is all the money you have left after your required deductions, optional deductions to spend, to live day to day, to pay your rent, buy groceries, have fun. And even if you're not making a lot, just having a simple budget is good too. And hopefully I'm not saying anything different than what Mark said. Okay, so income taxes. Let's do a very quick lesson on income taxes, is that the more you make, the more you pay taxes. That's a progressive tax. There are 5 income tax brackets, and you're going to fall somewhere in between them. So if you look, if you're making over $523,000, if you're going to be that lucky, you're paying 37% in income taxes. We need income taxes because the federal government runs our country with our income taxes. But there are ways to kind of reduce the amount that you owe. So gross income is taxable income you receive. You can adjust it down legally. There's legal ways to adjust it. Sometimes, I don't know how many of you guys, maybe in a prior job, they call it working under the table, where you're getting paid in cash and your employer is not reporting your income. This is actually a legal way to do it. So you legally adjust it down and you pay less taxes. So there's 2 types of income. Earned income, where it refers to money you earn from actually working. And then there's unearned income, where you might be earning it from interest. You made a sale on a stock, dividends, trusts, federal gift. Ask your relatives about that, but you can be gifted $15,000. I can gift somebody $15,000 and reduce my income so that I don't have to pay tax on that. All right, so adjusted gross income. The law allows you to subtract certain things from your income. Contributions to your IRA account, child care expenses, charity, student loan interest, mortgage interest. There's a long laundry list of things that you can deduct. All right, everybody should be adjusting down so that you're paying the least amount of income taxes. So again, deductions and exemptions are a lawful way to reduce your tax burden. And again, there is various different ones, and people that own businesses hire tax attorneys to do their taxes. But everyone gets a standard deduction. And I'm going to show that on the next slide, where you don't have to itemize everything that you're deducting. So we have Tyler and Stacy, and they make the exact same amount. Tyler has no children, he doesn't have a house, and he's not contributing to any retirement accounts. But he gets a standard deduction. So Tyler's paying taxes, income taxes on $76,500. We have Stacy, who's an educator. She gets $250 off of her taxes because she's an educator. She's contributing her full amount to a retirement account, her 401k or 403b, and she's contributing to her Roth account. Okay, so now she's down to $63,250. But she's also married, and she has a house, so she gets to write off her property taxes, her mortgage interest. So Stacy, they're making the same amount. Stacy is paying income taxes on $47,750. So keep those deductions in mind as childcare, getting married, paying student loan, things like that. Everybody should be attempting to adjust your income down, but everyone gets this standard deduction, and that changes from year to year. All right, so the first step is understanding money in and understanding your obligations. Mark talked about debt. That's an obligation. Other obligation is if you're renting, if you have a mortgage, you have to pay that. That's an obligation that you signed on the dotted line that you were going to pay it. So money in has to equal money out. So there's a thing called a zero-based budget. you want to allocate all the money in, not spend it. I don't mean to spend it, but allocate it. Put it in its place. Pick a category where that money's going to go. All right, so money in is the easiest equation. How does it happen? You work. Okay, sometimes you work, 2 jobs, overtime, commission, whatever it happens to be. So sometimes people are enjoying life a lot. And because of that, they're starting to worry how they're going to pay their bills. They're starting to play the credit card, chase. They're taking one balance, putting it on another credit card. And then you have some people that are, I'm not going to say the word cheap. It's called frugal. They're saving every single penny, and they're not enjoying life hardly at all. Your friends stop calling you to go out because they know you're going to say no because you're saving. You kind of want to try to get that just right. You're meeting your obligations, you're saving, and you're having a little bit of fun. All right, so a budget is a spending and savings plan. Again, it's money coming in, anything you earned, plus anything you borrowed, because you might borrow for a car loan, you might borrow for a house loan, and it has to balance. If it doesn't balance, Mark said you either have to change your income or you got to change your expenses. So a budget just kind of helps you plan your spending. You know where your money's going. Okay, so we got to estimate our income, and we're going to give you an income, I think. I think we came up with some incomes that you're going to pick, and we're going to estimate your expenses. We estimated some of them for you based on U.S. averages, and then you're going to decide how much to save. You are not going to get your budget right the first time, the second time, the third time. It may take 4 or 5 months to get it to work, and that's okay. All right, there's 2 types of expenses, and you're going to see these on the budget. Fixed expenses never change. Your house payment is pretty much the same payment every single month. Your car payment is the same thing. Your insurance is the same thing. Then you have variable expenses. And these are costs that go up and down based on your personal choices. Are you eating, organic food? Are you eating out a lot that month? Next month, do you have to cut back on that? You can have high utilities or low utilities. Aren't your parents always, I'm cold, Mom, Dad, I'm cold. Put a sweatshirt on, right? They're trying to keep their utilities low. So variable expenses, you get to decide how much you're spending. Cash surplus, that's what we want to see. You're making more than what your expenses are. What most people do is they put it in savings. That's a great option. All right, so let's talk about all these budget rules. You're going to be inundated when you start looking at budgeting stuff. There are so many rules. So we have the 50-30-20. So it's needs, wants, and saving. Then there's somebody else that's suggesting 60-20-20. Essentials, saving, and then your wants. And then you have more rules. How much you should be spending on your house payment. How much you should be spending on your car payment. Your debt to income ratio is another number. So you're thinking, oh, this is too much. You have to find something that works for you. Okay, experts are suggesting this. They're financial experts. It's just a plan. You have to find something that's going to work for you and works well for you. You don't have to follow these. All right, overspending. How do you put some kind of control with regard to that? The number one thing is when you get your paycheck, have them send your savings, your retirement money immediately somewhere else. Direct deposit it, so that and the bottom one is make your money hard to access. Once you put it in an IRA, you can't access the interest till 59.5, but you can access the principal, sometimes at a penalty. But you want to make it hard to access. One is putting it, automatic deposit. Plan purchases with a shopping list. I don't know how many of your guardians use the click list or some of those other grocery things, but when I go shopping, walking up and down, oh, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. If you do it with a click list, you don't get that option. So that's another good thing. Pay cash as opposed to credit. Not that you have to carry cash. A lot of people don't carry cash, but you could be putting on your debit card, but you have to track it. A lot of people will not realize they don't have enough money in their debit account. And then set specific saving goals and retirement goals. All right, here's a super simple, might be for a high school student. Got a part-time job, they have an allowance, and they have birthday gift money coming in. And then his expenses, he's got lunch, supplies, clothing. Don't forget entertainment. We all have to be, that is health care. You got to have some entertainment. So notice there's a difference. Income's $380, expenses are $280. So he has this cash surplus. Again, most people will put it in savings account, but they still have to equal. You're still getting money coming in equals money going out. All right, so I think we're going to get ready to start the budget, to kind of practice a budget. So again, you're going to see, I don't know how many of you guys know Sheets or Excel. A lot of the cells have a formula in it. Try not to erase those. We're going to have, I understand, helpers at each table, but I plugged in like groceries, non-groceries, what the average, utility bill is. So we're going to go, we'll look at the budget before we start going into it, but we had to put in some numbers. And then basically I'm going to walk you through the budget. Mark talked about pay yourself first. I totally agree with that. But sometimes you need a house first. You need a roof over your head. You have to eat before you save. And, clothing, no, can't be running around naked. You're going to get arrested. Okay, so there's certain necessities that you need before you can start paying yourself, but we're going to walk through those. And before we can even kind of go in and do the budget, I'm going to give you a quick Excel sheet, how to, move things, drag things, put in formulas, sum, average, min, max, count, how to do a pie chart. So we're going to go a little bit through the Excel budget and do that. So, I don't know, somebody wanted to talk in the back? No? Did you have no? I thought I saw it with the microphone. Does anybody have questions for me about retirement and budgeting? Yes?
My dad studies this. I think I already told you.
Your dad what?
My dad studies all of this.
Oh, perfect.
He's a financial investor, so he studies all of this.
All right, he's going to take care of you. So, any other questions, comments? Okay, so these, your summer work team is going to kind of get you guys started for this. All right, we ready? Everybody going to just share? Okay, is there anyone out there that's not ready?
We have like 60 more seconds.
Yeah, sure. You found what? Oh, good. We won't get that hot walking there. If you're waiting, if you kind of see at the bottom of the screen, there's different tabs at the bottom down here. We're gonna start on the practice one, just the one that says practice. Everybody good? thumbs up. I see one in the back. Couple of you guys. Okay. So they gave you this shortcut sheet, kind of what I'm going to go through. I'm going to do almost all of it, but it may not be in that order. But I do want to point out in the second one, it has your cut, copy, paste. It's going to be Control plus V, which I'm sure you guys know, but does anyone know what Control plus P does? Print. It does print. So make sure you make that change. Paste is Control V. But all right, so is everybody on the bottom tab at practice? All right, so yes, the number one thing to know right now, a couple things, is the undo command. It's the first command they have on that list. Control Z, Control Z. If you do keyboard shortcuts, a lot of times I'll just use the undo up here. So everybody good with undo? Oh, all right, we'll have to fix it. All right, so does anybody, do we need to do Control X, Control C, and Control V? Cut, copy, paste. You guys want to practice? No? Running short on time? Okay. All right, so I do want to, the next thing is adjusting the columns. It says adjust columns. Oh, also, this is Excel, and we're in Sheets. They're very similar. There are some differences. But adjust columns width or height or row heights. So I just want to point out here in our practice, right, let's scroll down. Right here on entertainment. Oh, where am I? Sorry. So right here, there's a lot of stuff that's cut off. We can't see it. So there's two ways to do it. You can adjust the columns from the top, or a quicker way I'm going to show you. So if you go up here between A and B, and you get your cursor, put your cursor over that line, it turns to a double-headed arrow. And if you click, you can drag out. So let's make it double the width. Let's drag it all the way over to B. And let go. Oh, still need a little bit. A little more. Okay. So let me show you a quicker way to do that. Okay, let's hit undo until we get it back. Maybe I have to hit undo 3 times because I did the column width 3 times. So let's get it back to its original. Okay, so watch this if you don't know. I am hovering over where we had that arrow. Just double click. Boop, boop. Okay. I just double clicked, and it will find the longest line and adjust the column width for it. So I'm going to hit undo and show you guys again. So I'm up here. And if you just double click, it will automatically do your column width for you, for your longest line. Okay, so with regard to adjusting the row height, let's scroll all the way up, and underneath transportation, let's make that row height a little bigger. So now we're dealing with the rows, the numbers going down the left. So what you're going to do is hover over between 1 and 2, get your double-headed arrow, and just drag down. We can make it 3 cells if you'd like, but those are different ways that you can do your column and row adjustments, height and the width of it. All right, we're going to use undo a lot today. We're going to put it back to what it was. So I'm just going to click it once, and we're back. Okay, so enable text entries to wrap around a cell. So let's go over here to where you see I love SummerWorks in this workshop. So put your cursor right here in G1, and because there's nothing in the cell next to it, H and I, it is gonna just continue to just go, into those cells, flow into those cells. But let's just put the number 100 in H1 right here. Here's another thing I want you to know. some students think they can't type there because there's text there. It's really not there. The text is actually an H1, but let's just type 100 and enter. So it cut the text off. I love SummerWorks in this workshop. We want that to wrap in that cell. We want to see that whole sentence in that cell. So that's called wrapping text. So let's click in that cell, G1. I gotta get my, and it is this icon over here. So click the drop down by it, and we got some options. So we're gonna choose the middle one. That is your wrap. Go ahead and click it, and you'll see it'll wrap for anything in the cell. Let me know if you guys need me to redo these, like undo, undo. Okay, so another thing is some students think that I'm in this cell, it has text in it, I have to delete it first. You don't have to delete the text. If you just start typing right now, let's just put your name in. Just, you're in the cell, I love SummerWorks and this workshop, just type your name and hit enter. It will replace the text that's in the cell. You do not have to hit delete first. I'm a nice Karen. Questions? All right, let's keep moving down this. All right, to insert columns or rows, and then, so we are going to, I kind of had this already practiced, but, all right, let's just go insert, we're gonna insert a column. We wanna push the yellow over one. So there's a couple ways you can do it. Let's go ahead and click the A at the top of the column. And if you use the drop down, you can insert a column to the left or right. Let's go to the left. And it does take on the formatting of the previous column. The other way, so I have my, you don't have to do this, I can show it to you, but I have A chosen again, the new column we just put in, and you can go up to insert columns, and it goes left or right. So you can use the drop down or you can use this method. All right, we're gonna hit undo. We're gonna get rid of that ugly column that's there. All right, to insert a row, it's very similar, but rows are gonna be the numbers. So let's click on row 1. And if you right click, you should be able to do insert row above or below. Let's do it above. Questions on inserting rows, columns, everything's going good? Okay, to delete a row. So let's delete this row. So if you click, okay, no, that's fine. So we're just gonna click 1 again, and if you right click it, it should say delete row. But we're going to, instead of going through all of this, some of you might know it, we're gonna jump to the budget just so that we fit it in, and then if there's time left, we're gonna go back to, possibly teaching some of these things. So let's go back to the tab that says personal monthly budget template. And let's just kind of look at kind of what's here. So the income is in blue, and we're going to give you some income numbers to use based on your goal for your education. And we just grabbed these off the internet real quick. But if you scroll over, notice there's 2 yellow sections, and I did this because some of you might rent initially instead of buying a house. So if you scroll, you can use the bottom scroll, and let's see these 2 together. So this is gonna be renting a 1-bedroom, and then over here is if you plan to own a home or a condo. But let's look at some of the categories you're already getting rid of that's not gonna cost you any money by renting. They are in the strike-through format. So there are some advantages to renting. You don't have to pay for certain things, and other things are included. And then let's just kind of look at some of the other categories. So one of the things is, to be financially stable, you need somewhere to live. Now, some of you may still be living with your parents when you graduate, and that's great. He asked that question. He said, what should Maria do? And I was like, with her, she was renting and had education loans. I was in the back saying, move back home with your parents to pay off that debt. But let's just scroll down. So we got accommodations. You have to have somewhere to live. And then we have savings. Pay yourself first. We have debt. Transportation. So some of you may not be able to afford a car. And if you're living in Ann Arbor, sometimes you don't need a car. Daily living, if you want to look at some of those categories there. Entertainment, of course. Health. Saving for vacation or travel. And then we're going to go with a couple scenarios that you have some unexpected expenses, and we're going to put those in there. But does anybody see any categories or titles that you don't understand there? Okay, so we have to, first thing in budgeting is you have to know your salary. Okay, you got to know the money coming in. So you got to listen for these numbers. So if you do not plan on furthering your degree after high school, you're just going to go and work, have a high school diploma, you are going to put $35,000 in cell. I feel like I'm on a game show. In cell C4. If all you're doing is high school, you're putting in, and what I'm going to put in $35,000, and I want you to see how it automatically populates your taxes. So when you scroll down, we're going to be seeing what you're living on per month. All right, here we go. You're going to get an associate's degree. That's it. You're going to put $45,000 in cell C4. So you have 5 options coming up. High school diploma was $35,000. Associates, $45,000. And this is, of course, starting out. Trade school. Now, this varies so much, but we're using $54,000 for a trade school. Bachelor's, $65,000 you're going to put in C4. Master's degree, $75,000. And I know some of you guys got some doctors and lawyers out there. They're just going to have to wait on that. That's going to be... All right, does everybody have their income filled in? I'm going to pretend that I got my bachelor's. I'm going to change mine to $65,000. Okay, there's the sad news of your tax situation. Okay, now he talked about getting a tax return. It's a forced savings program. Just new law, they might force employers who have 10 or more people to absolutely make you put into a 401k. That's on the ballot. Okay, so there's some other things we may have to go and fill in. If you can't make your expenses, you might need a second job. We're going to fill in possibly some income here. But let's scroll over. And let's go up to accommodations. So you have to make another choice here. Are you going to, when you get out of college, likely rent, or are you going to buy a house? I'm going to give you the 2 figures. So we got 2 cells we're going to put it in. We're either going to put your rent stipend here or your home here. Let me find those numbers. Okay, if you're going to rent, you're going to put $810 in cell G4. if you're going to buy a home, $255,000 home, you're going to put $1,200 in, sell. You're not going to do both. You're just going to stay in one side. Either you're renting and going all the way down, or you're owning a home and you're going all the way down. So owning a home in cell J3.
Hey, Karen, 1 second.
Yeah.
What's going in cell J3?
Oh, the amount?
No, I was just saying, that was an attention check. Jordan's paying attention.
Okay, I'm gonna pretend that I'm gonna try to buy my $250,000 house, and I'm gonna put in my $1,200. So I'm gonna stay on the right side of this. All right, so the next category, if you're owning a home, let's start, okay, lawn and garden and plants, okay? Man, when you're on a budget, we're just gonna leave that blank for right now. Here's the thing is, we're gonna do the pillars first, and then we go back in and we see if we have any extra money. So let's see some of the things we can leave blank. So as a home, you have to be creating some kind of fund for maintenance and improvements, or your roof or water tank. So if you're owning your home, let's scroll down to those. And let's just put 50 in each of these. You're saving every month $50 for improvements, maintenance. Something's gonna break. I promise you, something's gonna break. So we're gonna do 50 in each if you're on the home side. And then we're gonna leave everything else blank. Furnishings and appliances, hopefully you go to Goodwill and get all that stuff and bring it into your house. All right, so does everybody see their expense for their home living? The total down there, it should be in either G18 or J18. Oh, huh? Everyone sees that? You got your expenses? Anybody shocked? Okay. All right. So let's go down to the other pillar, which is food and clothing, which I filled in the food. So let's scroll down to where food is. Okay. We have food and, sorry, you know what? These need to be bumped down one. It should be store groceries should be 300 and eating out should be 150. So if you guys can remove those and fix those, I don't know if they got in the wrong category. Oops. My number lock isn't on up here. So we're just gonna, like I said, bump those down, 300 for groceries and eating out 150. What? Oh. Here, I thought I did it. Oh, you know what? I'm using the wrong enter button. What? It's my number lock. You guys are probably faster than me. You already did it. All right. If you scroll down, just underneath it is clothing. So I heard some of you say that you have to have the in thing. So I would say, at least $20 for clothing every month. You don't have to spend it. You're just putting it off to the side so that you can buy something when you need it. So in clothing, we're gonna put $20. What? Gosh darn it. Oh. I'm sorry, I'm not used to this screen. Okay, let's go to groceries, non-food. So you have to buy some non-food, you gotta buy cleaning supplies, number one, toilet paper, paper towel, whatever else. We're gonna put $100 in groceries, non-food. See if I got it right. Keep me, okay, savings. So savings gonna be number 3. We got our house, we're eating, and we're clothed. Perfect. Let's go back up to savings. Okay, short term is you're trying to save 3 to 5 months of your monthly expenses in case if you lose your job. So let's just put in $50. You're working towards it. Emergency, let's put in $25. You're working up to $1,000 in your emergency fund for last minute flight somewhere, flat tire. All right, retirement should be no less than 3% of your gross. So we're gonna do a formula here. You guys ready? Is everybody either, whatever, if you're in renting or house, you're in the cell that says retirement 3% to 15%? Okay, so you start every equation with an equals. So we're gonna press the equals. We have to go find it up in the income in the blue part. So I'm gonna scroll up and over. We want to click on this cell, C18. We're gonna click on it. There it is. And we're gonna do multiply, which is your star key, 0.03, and enter. So I got $133. It's not down. It's got several decimal places, but you can change that right here. Increase or decrease. Okay. So we got that. Okay, debt. Oh, star. Oh, did you do the star already? 0.03 and hit enter. Oh, 0.03 is 3%, because you should be doing, at the minimum, 3%, all the way up to 15 if you can. I don't know if somebody wants to check if she got it. Did you get it, the thing? Okay, so let's go into debt. Education loans. If you know you're going to have to pay a loan, that you're going to have education debt, put $222. 222 is the average for student loans. Okay, and let's go down to health insurance. So we got home, food, clothing, we got savings, and let's go to health, way down at the bottom. So on the average health that you have to pay as part of a monthly, they take it right out of your paycheck, your employer, is $150. Hopefully you're lucky enough to get an employer that pays it all, but $150. Okay, let's scroll down, way down to the bottom, and I'm gonna show you guys something. So at the very bottom, you can see how much you have left. So I'm over there. So I have left $848 for myself. I don't know how many of you guys have similar. So I have another $848 to allocate, to put somewhere. So the next thing is you really, I guess it's up to you. Do you want to put money in entertainment? Do you want to put money in gifts? Do you want to put more money in clothing? Do you want a gym membership? Doctor visits, medicine, prescription. Those are all going to cost money. So what if I give you a few minutes to try to take whatever money you have left down here and start allocating it to things that you believe what are important to you or you think you're going to need, like a car. I don't know if you guys know this, but the average car cost is, oh, here's another thing is, I put in gas. So let's go up to transportation. So if you don't think you're gonna have a car, you can delete these two, gas and insurance. But if you are gonna have a car is $620 just for the payment. So I'm gonna put in $620 for my car. I looked it up, average car payment per month for something you own. Yeah, for a car you own. And if I go back down, I only have $228 to spend for my, where am I going to allocate that money? Do I want to put some in entertainment? Do I want to put, you can't afford a dog or cat right now. I can't imagine that you can, so you don't put anything there. But go ahead and kind of, put your numbers in, and if you go above it, it's going to turn red. So I'm going to pretend that I have $228 in vacation. I'm going to put that I'm saving $250. Now I'm in the hole. I'm negative $21. So as you kind of fill in these amounts, it's going to change to green. Green's good, and red, you're in the hole, and you have to go back and adjust. So I don't know what the time schedule is here that we have. So, okay, 10 minutes. I can be done. I mean, you have like Q&A, or you do things like that. But you guys, this is, kind of a thorough budget. It covers every category. You could have a much simpler one, but now you have it. You have it saved, and you can kind of tweak it, based on, how you want to allocate your money.
All right, so we have only about 10 minutes left. So really quickly, we're just gonna break into reflection groups to just kind of wrap up and go over some upcoming things. So we're just gonna keep it close by. So if you're in Tabitha's cohort, just meet right around the corner here. If you are in Kirsten's group, Janae is going to be leading you today because she is not here, and you're gonna meet out on the sofa area. If you're in Ben and Dallas's group, you're going to stay here. And if you are in Olivia's group, you're going to be with Jordan at the end of the hall in the conference room. But take things with you because you'll be leaving from there. But thank you, everybody.
I'm sure they have to get rides, right? Yeah.
And if you do have any lingering questions, Karen's going to hang out.
I'm going to hang out.